What's up, YouTubes? So it finally happened. I got a new, well, used one-wheel XR, and I have 6 years of muscle memory built into the Pint. I know the Pint extremely well. I could feel the slightest twitch and auto-adjust. My muscles are extremely tuned to that smaller, less powerful, more rounded board. And then yesterday, I was just riding along right here, right in this exact vicinity, and I believe I hit this bump. I was rocking at a pretty good speed, and this thing can still not corner. As you can see, I am still not used to the cornering. The nose dips so far down when you corner, whereas the Pint, it's got the rounded edges, so you can like really carve into it. I think I hit this guy. I think I hit this guy going probably 16 or 20 miles an hour, and I fucking lost it. Mother of pearl. Did I lose it? I didn't break anything, it just scratches. But yeah, I believe I hit this. It bounced me up. The tire was way too inflated, and I rocketed it off, rolled about right here. Maybe I hit that one. I might have hit this bump right here. Like this one right in the middle that just, I think it was. I don't think it was this one. But I got rocked. I got rocked pretty hard. Not the best, not the most fun, but we recover. I'm gonna ride slower today. I'm gonna start getting used to this board, respecting it a little more. The cruise speed's a lot higher. The cruise speed's like 20 miles an hour opposed to my one-wheel Pint 16 miles an hour. And that's like pushing the cruising speed on the Pint isn't 16, that's the max speed. So you're getting massive pushback by the time you hit 16 miles per hour on the Pint. And, oh, that's what I hit. This is the one that I hit. Right here. Right there. I didn't even see it coming up. I'll just wait for this biker to go by. I got friggin' blasted off my board. Blasted off. I mean, they say to not keep the tire pressure under 15, but then they also say divide your weight by 10. I'm only 120 pounds, respectively. So at 15, I fucking launched off this board. I usually keep first aid stuff in my bag. No first aid stuff, no band-aids, no nothing. Luckily I had paper towels, so I was wiping off all the wounds. It was a bloody mess, almost literally. Well, it was literally. I had a rock jammed into the palm of my hand. I don't have tweezers in my little tool bag, so I had to dig it out with my fingertips. It sucked, and I just cut my nails recently, so I was really trying to squeeze the skin, get the rock to push out like you would a splinter. Mother of pearl. I'd say this hurts the worst out of these, you know, pretty gnarly scrapes. And you know what's funny? I was thinking 2 seconds before that, I was like, I'm going pretty quick. Maybe I should keep my wrist guards on because I don't know this board that well. And if I launch off, wah! And I like launched off immediately as I was saying that. So I'm really respecting the board today. Just getting used to carving on it. I'm using delirium. I want to get used to delirium because I was using mission on the Pint, which is I think the equivalent of delirium on this board. I put on custom shaping to be I turned the carvability all the way up, well, all the way down technically, to -5, and then I turned the aggression all the way up to 11. I'm a experienced rider, so I wanted to get used to the most, you know, powerful version of the shaping as quickly as I could. My buddy was like, maybe you should just keep it on mission for a little bit, and I was like, nah. I would have been okay, I think, if my tire was deflated a little bit. I had to change it to 120, or I'm sorry, 120. I had to change it to 12 pounds. I dropped the air pressure, and it feels way better. I mean, when I hop off a curb, I don't bounce, or like, you know, my knees don't buckle or spring up. You know, I have a little bit of cushion. That's what happens when you're a lightweight rider like myself. I should be wearing my helmet. There's some sand, be careful. I should be wearing my helmet. My buddy Nick always says, wear your helmet. He wears his helmet, and I wear my helmet when I go riding with him. I just don't know why I don't wear my helmet any other time. I've seen so many one-wheel injuries where people, you know, basically smack their head and snap their helmet into like 3 spots. And you know, you think that I would do it, but I don't. I think I will start. I'm just taking it really easy today. I have no reason to rush. I have no reason to speed. I don't want to fling off and like re-injure myself or this time break something. I definitely realized the power of the board. I mean, I think I was going 16 or 17 when I wiped out. Maybe a little slower, maybe about 15, 16, which again is the top speed of the Pint. So I'm never pushing the Pint that hard. I mean, I am, but like, you know when you're doing it. This, you're just cruising along, buttery smooth concrete, and boom, you hit a bump and you blast it off. And I wasn't paying attention, so my knees weren't bent, my posture wasn't like in a proper skating stance like I should have been. Man, you live and you learn. That sucked. That sucked. It hurt. It was really warm out too, so I started like sweating uncontrollably. I was like in a daze. I have a pretty good tuck and roll though. I've been in martial arts my whole life and I've always been really acrobatic, so I tucked and rolled and kind of made my backpack take the brunt of the heat, which I always try to do. But yeah, my arm did not escape unscathed and my left hand did not escape unscathed. So we're just taking it easy, making sure we have a proper skate stance. I'm actually locked into the flight fins this time because I think that maybe would have helped me catch it. But the board bounced me off so violently that like my feet just left the board. The board went one way and my body went the other. And it was in a split second over. So even my buddy was like, were you locked into the fins? And I was like, no. He's like, dude, that's why you have them. And he's right. It is exactly why I have them. So you can really take control of the board in sketchy situations. Now, you have to be decently experienced to use flight fins, in my opinion, because you'll freak out. You won't know where to put your feet or how to slide them out of the hooks. I'm used to snowboarding since I was a kid, so it's kind of a feeling that I'm used to, is kind of being locked into your board. I could see how a lot of new riders especially would be like, nah. Even my buddy Nick, who's a pretty good rider, he's like, nah, I'm not using those flight. These are actually his flight fins. I wish I would have had a video of what happened to the flight fins on my Pint that he printed me. He 3D printed me an awesome set of flight fins that were working perfectly until I smashed them into a curb on both sides and they both got obliterated. So he's letting me use his real OEM flight fins, which have been sick. I friggin' love these things. These are really sweet. They really help your feet like lock in. You know, usually your stance is pretty wide like this, and that's what I was doing yesterday. So when my feet left the board, there was nothing to hold me to it to at least even try to get edge. Whereas this, now I'll kind of lock in a little bit, and because I have a shallower stance, it helps me not go as fast, because you know, it's all pendulum basically. So the further you lean on the nose, the faster you're going to go. So I'm using the, you know, physics of leverage to keep my feet as close to the tire as I can. That way I'm not pushing as hard as I normally would be. Therefore, I'm not going as fast as I normally would be on a wider stance. That's why when you look at the FSTs on the rally boards, they're at the front of the board, because you want the widest stance you possibly can for trail riding, losing edge. It really helps you get more control over the board at faster speeds. But today I'm looking for the opposite of that. I'm looking for control over the board at slower speeds. You can put spacers on, so you can see how close my feet are to the wheels, to the hub. It leads for some sketchy situations. You can't control the board as efficiently as you might have been able to otherwise. So I might put some spacers in, at least on the back, to widen out my back foot a little bit. I don't like my feet being this close to the hub, but again, I'm an experienced rider. I kind of know what I'm doing, so I don't mind. But yeah, yesterday was quite the wake-up call for an old rider. Oh, dead fish. That's sad. That's a big old fish. Yeah, it was a bit of a wake-up call for an older rider to be like, dude, you're not invincible. This is a new board. You got to learn it. It's got way more power, way more torque, and when you fill up that bigger tire, is this a 6.5 inch hub or 6? I can't remember. But it feels way springier than the one wheel. Even at both tires set to 15 psi, the XR feels much bouncier, I think it's because the weight's distributed a little differently. The Pint is a little tank. Everything's kind of, it's just dense. It's a really dense board. This is a technically heavier board, but I think because it's a longer board, the weight's distributed a little bit more evenly. So there's something about the mechanics of it. It's different. It's a different board for sure. I mean, I don't really know why they'd recommend the Pint to beginners. I feel like this is honestly a better beginner board because it's more stable, except for the power. I mean, a new rider, once you get confident, you're gonna push the board and you're gonna wipe out, and it's way less of a detriment if you wipe out on that Pint versus this, because you're generally cruising at like, you know, 20 miles an hour, and then you wipe out going 20 and you didn't even realize you were going 20. It's kind of like a nice sports car when, like, you know, you're going 100 on the freeway and you're like, holy crap, I'm going 100, I better slow down. It's exactly like that. Where on the Pint, that pushback is so severe and so quick, it happens at like 15, 16 miles an hour. Your general cruising speed's like 12, 13 miles an hour if you're lucky. So that's what I'm used to cruising at. Now I'm used to now this cruises at like 16 to 18. So I'm cruising at the top speed of my old board, which is, you know, something I'm gonna have to really get used to, make sure I'm always paying attention, because I became a real sightseer on my Pint. I mean, I was always like, oh, wow. And then on this, you really gotta keep locked in. I mean, unless you're cruising, like being slow, maybe keep it in Mission or Sequoia or something. But if you're in Delirium or you're in your own custom shaping that's got high aggression, you need to pay attention if you're going pretty quick, because you will rocket off this board. You'll be catapulted. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been trebucheted off my Pint before. I was transferring from street to sidewalk and I hit a bump bigger than I thought it was gonna be, and I friggin' launched like 12 feet forward, landed on my spine, well, landed on my tailbone, scratched my arms all to hell. That was probably the worst injury I've ever had on a one wheel. And again, it was like a year into my one wheel Pint life, so, and I skateboarded and snowboarded my whole life. So I was like, oh, I know this board. And then I fly home to, because I was late for a D&D session actually. And I was trebucheted off the board like a medieval moron. Again, no helmet, no protection. I think it was then that I bought wrist guards, knee pads, and elbow pads. Not that I friggin' wear them. I usually only wear my wrist guards unless I'm going out to do something stupid. Like if I'm going out to specifically hit jumps or try to go switch or try to curb nudge and all that kind of stupid stuff, then I'll put on my gear, at least some of it. But I don't know, I need to get better at doing that. I'm not a role model, kids. Don't follow me. Do what I say, not what I do, you know what I mean? I've had to learn the hard way, and you don't want to learn the hard way either. Although I feel like I learn best by experience, so I won't let that happen to me again. That's what happens when you disrespect the board, or you just don't understand the full power of it and the respect. You don't give it the respect it deserves. So, lesson learned, everybody. Don't let this happen to you. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so I just looked up Bodie Harrison's old GXR Plus presets, and he sets it all the way down to aggression, carve at -5, nose at 0. And I tried it, and it's way better for tricks and carvability. Like, holy crap, this board is buttery. Like, mother of God. I mean, like, I can go switch on this thing like crazy. Like, watch. Well, of course now oh, goose shit, ew. Gross. Oh yeah, this is a much easier board to control, holy crap. Oh Jesus, yeah dude, I mean, setting the aggression down to like nothing, you can really flick this board around. Like, holy shit. Wow, Bodie, he's onto something. Now your nose goes down a little further than I'd like it to, because I usually do +2. He does 0. But this is a really buttery setting for freestyle. And it's my new go-to custom pre-shape for freestyling. Now, I also Googled it, and most people who've won Ride the Rails, which is One Wheel's own rally race, most of them have won Mission, which I find interesting. I wouldn't have guessed it. I wouldn't have guessed Mission beats Delirium, especially on trails. But, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Now, this is a buttery... I mean, this is like the definition of a buttery pre-shape. Oh, I went down... Oh, I think there's steps. All right, we'll check this out. All right, I need a little... I think I like my nose being pointed up a little bit because I'm used to the Pint. I'm used to a shorter nose. And I can really push that shorter nose around without dragging my front, my nose on the ground. But I'll have to get used to this. It's ow. Ow, did you see that? I just got accosted by a friggin' tree. But yeah, this is buttery. I don't know what the top speed is of this. I don't want to. Oh, it's still pretty fast. You get some nose pushback though. You do get some pushback when you set that aggression to 0. Or when you set that aggression like as low as it can possibly go. Interesting. I didn't see that often. Someone like skating with ski poles. That's weird. Yeah, so I've learned Mission beats out Delirium in terms of the Ride the Rails competition for the OGXR Plus. I used to ride Skyline on the Pint because that's what I just got used to, and I feel like the Pint with its lower torque that's like what you need. You need the highest amount of torque on that board you can possibly get. So I was using it since I got the board, really. I basically started learning the Pint in Skyline. I think I said Mission earlier. Mission's for the XR. Right now I'm riding Bodie's Freestyle, which is -5 carvability, 0 nose tilt, and aggression 1 all the way down, which it's super buttery, super smooth. So I might take a second here and try Mission. Let's try Mission. Delirium's great. I love Delirium. But I want to be able to make like really tight circles. There's bikers coming behind me. I was going to make a bunch of tight little circles. But I love going switch, especially when I'm slowing down, and I love going on my edge, just because that's what I'm used to with the Pint. I mean, you're always on edge of the Pint. It's a round tire opposed to this like XR that's got a more square tire on it. Now, as you can tell, this has a Hoosier treaded tire on it. So it's a little bit rounder than the Street Pros, which I'll probably end up putting on. But yeah, Mission's pretty slick. Delirium, I do like Delirium. I figured I'd like it the best because I came from a Skyline Pint. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to get used to this board, get used to the custom pre-shaping ability. You were never able to do that on the Pint, so it's a whole world that opens up to me that's never opened up to me before. So I'll have to get used to it. I'll have to get used to the custom pre-shaping. The only custom pre-shape I'll probably keep is Bodie's. I had my own custom pre-shape that's aggressive all the way to 11, carvability all the way down to -5. I think that's a bit dangerous. I don't know. I think those are a bit contradictory. I'm trying to get the best out of both worlds. I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too. And I don't know if that's the best option. But I think Mission's top speed is 19, Delirium's is 20. Not that I need to freaking go 20 miles an hour on this thing. Especially since I'm used to the Pint. Maybe the more used to this board I get, I'll switch up to Delirium. But Mission's pretty sick. I like Mission so far. Honestly, I really liked Bodie's presets, the buttery smooth, especially because I do wily shit all the time. I'm always going switch or hitting curb nudges or bonks. So I think I might stay in Bodhi's freestyle preset. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do. It seems like the top speed on Bodhi's is a little slower than Mission or Delirium. Maybe it's more Sequoia, but I'll figure it out. It's taken me a while to, well, it's never taken me a while. I've never had the ability to custom pre-shape. And on the XRC, on the new XR Classics, you have the ability to customize way more settings. And I've heard through Jeff McCosker at Float Life that all their pre-shapes from the OEM, from Future Motion, are more finely tuned than anything you could custom shape. You only get to custom shape 3 things on the old XR Plus, whereas on the new boards you can custom shape a lot more. So maybe the new XRC's custom pre-shape abilities are better, but I don't have that. I don't have the new XRC. I only have the XR Plus. So I might just start using Mission instead of Delirium. Let's see how my like circles can be. Because like when I'm at a light, I like to just do this. I like to go switch. But I've noticed immediately between Bodhi's and this, it doesn't want to flip my tire over as quickly. Let's see if I can do some tight ass circles without the nose touching. Yeah, sort of. I'm rocking switch. Well, I had to flip the board backwards because I didn't want it to run over this biker here or kill him. All right, so let's see. So if I'm at a red light and I'm just going in circles, I mean, I can stay on edge infinitely on my Pint. I gotta get used to the more square tire. This isn't even that square of a tire, it's the Hoosier, but it's still a little different. I like to put my nose up a little bit on this board, I think, compared to the Pint, just because I'm used to the Pint having a shorter nose, and the ability to like do really tight carvy turns on the Pint is infinite. Like I mean I could spin on a dime on that thing, whereas this, you know, it's harder to stay on that edge and the board doesn't want to give you the power. So I'm gonna switch over to Delirium and see if I can do any tighter carves. It already feels a little bit more responsive. So let's see. Yeah, it keeps the nose up a little more. Yeah. When I was staying on edge, it does keep it a little more on edge. All right, let's try my custom pre-shape. Not Bodhi's. Which is, I don't even know if you can see this. -5 + 2, 11. Let's see if I can do any more carves, like tighter carves on this. No, I mean, once you get on edge, this board does not want to go. Well, hold on, you know what? Let's try this. Let's do like +3. Let's see what that does. Oh, that's much better, honestly. Yeah, see, once, like, if I used to touch my one of my front fangs, which are there, if I used to touch one of these to the ground, I could recover easily. This board, it seems a little harder to recover once you, like, touch that fang to the ground. Yeah, it's way harder to do tiny curves on this board. But I mean, that's just the nature of it. I mean, it's a different board, it's a wider board, it's a more powerful board. Let's go back to Mission. Apparently that one was the ride the rails. Delirium was the minority. So I'll keep it on mission for now. And then when I want to do like, when I want to fuck around and bonk and do freestyle, I'll go to Bodhi's. I'll go to Bodhi's preset. I didn't even think to go to Bodhi's preset to try to do tiny curves. I don't know why. But yeah, I'll get home on mission. And then when I get back to the apartment, maybe I'll try to go to Bodhi's preset. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Stop. All right, let's do Bodhi's. Now I'm right by the river, so watch me launch my board into the goddamn canal. Oh yeah, I mean, it immediately wanted to fall over. The buttery really doesn't want you to, yeah, the buttery, his preset really doesn't want you to carve over as much as I would. All right, sorry, my one battery died. I had 3 GoPro batteries. One of them swelled up like a friggin', yeah, Bodhi's presets does not allow for like nose correction. And I think I need that. I think maybe I want like 11 aggression and carvability to like nothing. Because I do like to carve. Like I obviously like to do, you know, what? Oh yeah, it does not want to correct you. Yeah, this is like a straight up freestyle preset, which is great when you're freestyling. But I like a more aggressive ride. Of course, that's why this happened, because I ride. I like my board to be as responsive as it possibly can. I'm used to riding downtown. I'm used to riding in the city. You know, I bought my one wheel when I lived in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So we had hills, we had people all over. I wanted a board that I could fly up to a group of people or weave in and out of a group of people. I needed that board to be as responsive as it possibly could be. But I'm starting to realize on the XR, it's a bit different. Like, I don't know if I want my carvability down or up. I honestly can't tell. I wish that when you went to Delirium and Mission, they would tell you like what the equivalent of the custom pre-shapes are, so you could just kind of see what the numbers are. That way you could more easily decide what you want an adjustment to be. Because if I want a Delirium or Mission to be a bit tweaked, I don't know what that is. Like I wish they would have given you the numbers, or at least even the 3 base numbers, you know, aggression, tilt, and carvability. That way I could just tweak numbers, you know, a couple increments to decide what I want the most. Now, my nose being at 0, I find okay. I prefer my nose being up a little bit. I assume this is exactly what Skyline was on the Pint, where it has no nose compensation. I mean, this is a way more easier board preset to correct. Like if I'm hitting bumps or going up on edge, like it seems like it wants to work with me. Whereas like Mission, Delirium are like, oh, we're correcting. I don't give a shit what you want. So I don't know. I'm currently riding Bodhi's preset, the freestyle preset, which seems fine. Like it's a great preset. I really like it for the ability to go switch, because I can't go switch as easily without it, and I've completely noticed that. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated. We'll keep riding. Yeah, it definitely doesn't want to correct you as fast. It like lets you kind of go on edge and fall over if you want to. So I might switch back to Mission and see what carving does for me. All right, hold on. All right, let's go to Mission. let's try to carve. Yeah, see, it wants to correct a lot faster. It doesn't really want you to be on edge. It'll kind of correct itself, which is good if you're riding and hitting bumps and like going on edge. You don't want to go on edge and fall over. You want to go on edge and have it slightly correct, but you also don't want to fight the board. A lot of Reddit threads I've read is like, oh, Delirium fights you the whole time. You know, it's rider versus board, whereas Mission's more board and rider are in sync. Like, you know, you guys work together, whereas Delirium, you're constantly fighting your board. I didn't necessarily notice that, but I noticed right there, when you hit on Mission or Delirium, that wheel wants to spin. I mean, because of all the torque, that wheel wants to friggin' buck. And I like to hit bumps to the point where I'm flying up in the air, because that's why I have the damn flight fins. So I think I might do Bodhi's preset most of the time. But I also, I don't know, it's a confusing situation for me because I'm not used to being able to do custom presets. And I've got to figure out what I like the best, what's the best for me. I like a little bit of both worlds. I want a really responsive, like back and front, like that. Like I feel like the tail hit when I just wanted to stop. Whereas on Delirium, it wouldn't have done that. It would have been like, oh, okay, we're stopping. Like, if I'm coming up to a group of people and I want to stop, I don't necessarily want to jam my tail into the ground. Like, I mean, I do, but I don't want the board to tail slide. So what I might do, I don't know. Let me switch back to Delirium and see if I can make the difference, because if I slam the tail, yeah, see, that seems like much more aggressive and responsive, which is exactly what I want. But also, to be fair, on this board you don't really have to carve in tiny circles to stay elevated, because it's got a wider base tire. So I can just stand here and like stay in my board a lot easier than I could on the Pint. You know, like if I bend my knees and try to stay still, I can do it a lot easier than I did on the Pint. Whereas the Pint, you always had to make these small circles. You kind of had to like go switch, make a circle, go switch, make a circle. And that's what I got used to. I just got to get used to riding a different board. Now, when I try to curb drop, I notice that wheel wants to really give me some spin, which is why Bodhi sets all of his stuff to like low aggression, high carvability, because he wants that buttery smooth, like he wants the ability to hit something and not fly off. So I'll go back to Bodhi and I'll see how this does. I think it'll be better for city riding, especially because I like to curb drop and I like to do dumb shit. Well, is what most people consider dumb shit. But I might set the nose up to like 0.2 just because I'm used to it, and like I don't want my nose to be as buttery as Bodhi does. He's used to it. Bodhi's an actual skater. Bodhi like actually skates and snowboards. I used to do that shit, and now that I'm 36, I don't do it as much. But I do like the reduction of tail spin or wheel spin when I go switch. So I don't know. I'll have to figure out my favorite preset, or maybe just stick with Mission, because Mission's apparently like the best programmed preset for the board. Apparently that's what like Future Motion really was like, this is what you should be riding at all times. So I don't know, I'll figure it out. Might take me a while, but I'll figure it out. I do like Bodhi's preset, especially for hitting jumps and shit, so we'll see. It's just not as aggressive. Like when I shift my weight, which I like to do, I can tell it's not, I mean, it's responsive, obviously, but I tail drag sometimes. So I'll have to figure that out. Because I do want something that's responsive yet carvability, but I feel like my custom preset's okay. Like I have aggressiveness all the way to 11, but carvability all the way down to 0 and a board tilt of +2. So I feel like that is kind of how I like to ride. But I also like to hit jumps and stuff and curb drop. So at an aggressiveness of 11, your tail really doesn't, your tire, your motor really doesn't want you to do that. I mean, it's just free spinning like crazy. So you're like at the mercy of the tire, which is okay. I'm used to it because I used to ride Skyline, but the torque on the Pint is way less torque than on the XR Plus. So I don't know, I'll just have to get used to it. But I am enjoying this board, I will tell you. I really like the range, I really like the torque. Once I get the presets figured out, I might not do quite what Bodie does because he really freestyles. I mean, he's hitting shit constantly, whereas I'm only hitting shit a little bit. I'm not hitting shit as much as Bodie. He really does stuff like, yeah, he's always hitting stuff. He's always going switch. He's always, oh, cat, meow. Adorable. So I don't know. Bodie's is really nice. I really do like Bodie's preset. It's chill. It's not gonna like kill me. And when I hit bumps, which is what I am most susceptible to and usually hit the most, it won't wheel spin, my tail won't drop, and I'm not gonna fly off. It's, you know, a bit more buttery, dare I use the term. So yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out as I go. But because the Pint had such a short nose, I never liked it getting too close to the ground, and it naturally didn't. Like it really didn't. It was a pretty tuned setting, Skyline was, which is almost why I'm afraid to use my own custom pre-shapes on the old XR Plus, because I've been told, I read and I heard from Jeff that their presets are like, they have more tuning than you're able to tune on the custom shaping. So if you do a custom shaping, it's not going to be as dialed in as theirs. So I don't know, I gotta figure it out. But I might stay in Mission. If Mission won most of the Ride the Rails, who am I to be like, oh, I don't know, I like Delirium. So I don't know, I'll figure it out. But we're learning. New board, new style to ride. It's definitely a different ride style, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that right now. So I'll have to get used to it. We'll figure it out. I'll keep you guys updated for sure. I just wanted to bring you guys along for my first real trip on the XR, trying to customize my shaping. I just kept it in Delirium for the first couple days until I did my own custom shaping. And I think I was in my custom shaping when I ate shit, but the tire was too inflated. That was not the board's fault. It was my fault, per se. The tire was too high. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't have my knees bent, and I hit a bump that I didn't know was there, and I just got rocketed off the board like it was nobody's business. I noticed Bodie's preset's better at slower speeds, so I don't know, we'll see. But I think I might just stick to Mission for a while, because that's apparently like the pre-shape that Future Motion really dialed in, really tuned in to like the best ride you could get. So, oh yeah, there's no tire spin on that curb drop. Whereas every time I curb drop on my Pint and Skyline, or this in Delirium, even Mission, I hear a skirt, skirt, you know, like the wheel's still spinning. So, I don't know, Bodie's preset might be the preset for me. I ride a lot like Bodie, where I'm pretty loose and, you know, I like to go switch, I like to ride up curbs, I like to curb nudge, I like to curb drop, I like to try to like go up and down curbs, like back and forth, like back and front like he does, so maybe I'll keep his preset. Oh, sorry buddy. Sorry, I must have tripped a biker. All right, so we just went a distance on the XR that the Pint would have been almost dead. And I think right now we're at 64%. So we're looking pretty good in terms of range. You can see my one wheel mark on the wall for where I always like park the one wheel. But that was a good day. That was a good riding day. I'm trying to don't yell at me. Sorry for all the boxes. We're fitting to move. But yeah, that was a pretty good one wheel day. I had to do a lot of figuring out. I really liked Bodie's preset. I had to look it up. Obviously, he rides the new XRC, and he has like, there's a bunch more custom pre-shaping abilities and options that you can have on there. Quit yelling at me, she's hungry. And I don't know, I really did like Bodie's, so I might keep it. I do like the ability to, when I carve, to be corrected a little bit, because I don't want to like keep going over, especially on this more square tire. Whereas my Pint has a much rounder tire. As you can tell, the contact patch is like there, whereas the contact patch on this is like double. So I've got to get used to that. I honestly love my Pint. If I could have the Pint that did that had the power of the XR with the range of the XR, I know, get a Pint X or a Pint S. It's just not the same. I've heard it's not the same. I've heard if you really want to upgrade and be a better rider, a bigger rider, you just got to go with the XR. Now the XRC, but if you can get a good used, in condition used XR, they're worth getting because you can strip them down. That was from the other day when I ate shit. That was a perfectly new battery cover, and then I fell and ripped it to bits. I need to put some rail guards on it or just buy new rails. I want to get new foot pads for it. But yeah, getting used to the XR over the Pint has been fun. It's been difficult. It's been painful. My fault. But I am very much used to this board. I mean, I've had it for 6 years, and it's been a harder board. I wouldn't recommend beginners get this board, even though it's labeled the beginner board. But that round tire makes it way harder to ride. You know, it's got this rounded profile up here, which make it way easier to carve. I mean, like, I could probably do circles right here without falling over in Skyline, whereas that, I can't. So, you know, it's just a different rider style. But the perk of that board, the XR, is I can just stand there. I don't have to, like, carve to keep my balance. This, if you want to stand still on this board and just stay there, it's honestly extremely difficult. Like, it's not easy to just stand there on this board without moving. It's like when you stand on a bicycle. It's like when you're riding a bike, you're fine. But as soon as you stop on a bike, you got to put one foot down or you're going to fall over. So that's kind of what this is like. Whereas that, you can kind of just stand still and it'll be fine. Look, she's so upset. She wants me to feed her so bad. But all right, well, that was a good one wheel day. Thanks for joining me. Remember to like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. To my 3 viewers out there, it's I really do appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie. And I hope to make bigger, better content. One wheel focused, development focused, developing my life, developing my apps, developing my products, developing my EDDM service, developing my cat. And yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. It's been a good one. Bye.